say pretty please, or speaking little white lies. I've got a rebel soul. 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 Just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down.
We are live.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Generation Orange. I am your host, Mark Segovia, alongside my co-host, Sean Ringrose. What's up, Sean?
What's up, Mark?
Man, we took a week off. The Dynamo apparently did too. A lot of good things going on with the Dynamo. Beginning of the season. I don't want to say a lot of good things going on with the Dynamo, but I mean a lot of good things as far as vibes going on with the Dynamo. But the on pitch stuff is still kind of remaining the same. But we'll get to that in a short bit. But what's up with you, Sean? How you been, man?
I'd probably be a lot better if the Dynamo could win or even draw a match. Like, I think I want my Dynamo back at least. I feel like Luzamo is going the wrong direction.
Well, they are consistent. I mean, come on, there was it's 2 games on the road, so I mean, we don't never expect the Dynamo to get too many points on the road.
Yeah, I mean, the hope was this would be a different team. I ain't
That
feeling
was
it.
the hope.
I
That
ain't
was the
feeling it
hope.
right now. But yeah, besides that, I mean, I'm doing good. Life is good. Can't complain. Everything is going.
Yeah, man. Work is picking up a little bit. It's getting hotter, so obviously, people are coming out of the woodworks and drinking a little bit more. We got things coming up as far as like St. Patrick's Day. Obviously, the Dynamo tailgate with the surge for opening day for the home match, March 18th versus Broccoli FC. We're looking forward to that. And a lot of other things coming up as well. So looking forward to that, man. I got my pal here, Diesel Jr. Unfortunately, he has a little bit of a frown. We'll get to that once in the show. We'll discuss that, a little frown of his once we get into the show a little bit here a little bit. So, but yeah, man. Let's get it started, man. Let's not beat around the bush anymore because I mean, the Dynamo do plenty of that for us. So, let's get to the poll question of the day. And that, if I can pull it up.
Well, while you're pulling that up real quick, you can spend your minute or two to do so.
Yeah.
Kenny says in chat, and I think this is super important for people to realize, this is the first Dynamo team since 2006 when they were when they were fresh. The first Dynamo team to ever lose the first 2 matches of the season.
Hey, I like the optimism, Kenny. But isn't this the first time in like a decade that the Dynamo start on the road?
I think we started on the road for a few matches back when we opened the stadium, because we didn't open the stadium for the beginning of that season.
Yeah, but that's almost a decade, right?
No, that was 2000. Well, yeah, I guess it was. Holy.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was a decade. Holy crap.
Yeah,
It's been a decade in BBVA PNC Shell Energy Stadium.
Look. I appreciate the optimism that Kenny brings to the show. I got nothing but love for Kenny. And that's great, but damn, this is the first time we go on the road in 10 years to start off the league match and we can't even get a point. But I got the poll question of the day. Our Houston Dynamo are off to a slow start with 2 losses, both on the road to start this season. How are we feeling as a fan base? The answers were no worries. 2 games, 2 losses seems about right. Tear it down again. And coming in at the winner of 46%, 2 games, 2 losses seems about right. So I mean, not too many people were too overly, I guess, or too on the boat where the Dynamo thought that they were going to start off the season winning. I mean, Cincinnati, we spoke a lot about them the last show we did a couple of weeks back, that, they were revamped and they had, phenomenal players to start off the bat, and the fact that we got a 2-1 result in Cincinnati was a little bit of a moral victory, but I mean, obviously moral victories don't get you points. So we kind of figured that they were going to lose that game. New England Revolution under, Bruce Arenas, another guy who obviously knows how to win in MLS, went over there and, kind of just wasted a flight to go over there. But, it is what it is. Lost 3-0 against those guys, so no points there as well. Sean, we were discussing it, before the show started. I mean, just how I don't want to say disappointing because it is just 2 games to start the season, but I mean, but do we really think that the Dynamo, do they have the talent on the team to come back from these 2 losses and try to start maybe like a little bit of a, not say a winning streak, but we're a streak where we can collect points?
Yeah, I think you posed a good question in the way that you worded that, right? Did the Dynamo possess enough talent? I think if we're asking that question at this stage of the season, there's something wrong. For a team that supposedly had last off season, not the one that we just went through, but the one before that, supposedly had their hands tied, couldn't make any moves, couldn't improve the squad, to come into this off season with high hopes and high expectations because you no longer had those handcuffs on, to we're in the same boat that we were in last season. We're in the same exact position we were in last season. Different coach, same GM, different players, same results. To me, I think it speaks to what you just said and what you just asked. And the real question is, does this club, does this team right now in its current form have the talent? Does it have enough talent to overcome an 0-2 start? And from where I'm sitting, and I was positive this offseason, after we signed a few certain players, but I was positive that we had turned a corner and that we were headed in the right direction. And thank you, Master Combine. Great chat statement right there. Pat said they're much happier with the squad they've got right now versus last season. So if they don't have the talent, then we're in big trouble. Here is the one thing that I was concerned about this offseason when there was a slow start to signing players and we were into effectively January before we started really making some key moves. And that was that it didn't feel like Pat was, as a GM, was making the right moves to improve this team. Pat is married, come hell or high water, to a 4-3-3. For whatever reason, Pat is insistent that we are going to play a 4-3-3. Okay, that's all good and well, but if you don't have the players to positionally play at the level they need to play at in a 4-3-3, and you are just bringing in pieces that could be much better served to play in different positions, are you really serving the club? Are you really doing what you need to be doing as a GM to improve the overall talent level of the squad? And, when Ben Olsen was announced, I had my reaction then, and I still kind of feel the same way. He's kind of a stopgap. This is like a third stopgap at this point, it feels like, for the Dynamo from a coaching perspective. Like, we have some coach that we dream about signing or that we dream about bringing in, but we can never get him to come in. And so we just settle for whoever's available. And that is the mentality of a club that is at the bottom of the barrel. It is the mentality of a small market club, not the mentality of a big market club.
So, what do you think needs to be the first? Obviously, there's nothing we can do right now. I mean, I know the window's still open technically, right? But but as far as the only kind of hope that we have is if Basi overcomes his little lower extremity injury, whatever, and comes in just blazing. But I mean, that's putting too much emphasis on him, especially coming off an injury, whatever injury it is that he's having, especially coming in, trying to adapt to a new league in a new country. Other than that, I mean, what else do we have to hang our hats on? I mean, realistically speaking, Sean, I mean, because, the first match against Cincinnati, like I said in the beginning of the show, they lost 2-1. Cincinnati obviously overloaded in the offseason because they obviously got tired of being at the bottom of their league, of their conference, and they did something about it. They went and signed players. They went and got actual talent, and those guys are going to compete for a playoff spot and maybe even compete in the Eastern Conference, depending on how well these players can adapt to each other and build that chemistry, right? But, the Dynamo showed a good showing, 2-1. And like I said, it was a moral victory. So, you kind of go with the, okay, cool. We see Hector doing the corner kicks, obviously the assist on the corner to Schmidt to score the goal was a great highlight to start the season. The ball movement was nice. You know, they looked a little bit in sync when they did. I mean, obviously, like I said, it was the first game with that midfield playing together, so it's going to take them a little bit of time to get accustomed to each other. But you know, there were some positives, right? And then you know, we go to the next week, and you see the first half, and you're like, okay, it's not starting off as quickly as we wanted to, but I mean, you know, we're seeing them, you know, do a little some, and then the second half of that match, boom, the bomb just kind of fell out, and you know, it's kind of like I've been watching the same Dynamo for the last 4 or 5 years. So what do we have to look forward to? I mean, you know, the talents. I mean, like Master Combine said, Pat is happier with the talent on the team that's on currently. Franco, you know, you know, I think somebody asked us on the Twitter our thoughts on Franco. I mean, Franco's two games into his MLS career, right? He's done okay. I mean, you know, he's done about as good as you can do without actually scoring a goal or whatever. But other than that, I mean, you know, Ache, I mean, he's done okay. He's been decent, but I mean, he's your best play guy. This is your face of the franchise. He's supposed to be your best player. Sebas benched in the second game. Your DP number 9 benched by your new coach. Like, what's going on? He was our lone bright spot from last year, and you're benching him for a guy who only played like 3 or 4 games in the preseason. And Thor. So I mean, what direction are we going in?
Yeah, I think there's a question there that I think I wanna ask, and it's really the question of what's the identity of this squad, of this team, of this club. Right now, this idea of bring the nasty. Oh hell, the nasty is the way that they're playing on the damn pitch. I mean, if we're being honest about it, it ain't nasty. It's disgusting to watch. You know, there's fight. I suppose you could say that. There's some level of, hey, we do want to do well, but I would expect that from professional athletes. I'm not going to expect to see professional athletes out there just hoofing it and just lazily playing. Although I've seen it before, but I think the real question here is what's this identity? The whole thing of bringing Ben Olsen was we're going to establish an identity. We're going to be nasty. We're going to be physical. I mean, we possess the ball. We're top 5 in possession percentage possession percentage, in the league, 55.1% possession, across 2 matches. But I think that happens when you go down early in matches, which we've done twice. I think that happens when you're searching for a goal. You tend to take the possession stat. It does feel like a different team from that perspective. Like we're not just not just sending the ball along and hoping and praying, but I think there's something to be said for, the pendulum swinging too far in the other direction. Like we had a reasonably decent attack. It wasn't great. It still needed to score more goals, but it was better than what we've had so far to open the season. We scored 1 goal in 2 matches. Do not let that statistic pass by. I don't care if they're away matches or not. We've scored 1 goal in 2 matches. That's a half a goal average per match right now. If you can't do the math,
and that's what bothers me about the whole Sebas benching. Like I said, I haven't had an opportunity to go look back or see or why, or if anybody asked why he was benched, or what the reasoning was behind that. If somebody can let me know in the chat if they know, let me know. But like it's crazy, This is some of the things that we had an issue with Nagamura last year, when he was benching Sebas. This is your number 9. This guy, especially for this season, coming into the season, has proven himself with the limited amount of talent that was around him last season, the capability of scoring goals at the MLS level, right? Now, you bring in his buddy, Ivan Franco. You brought in a full off season of Hector Herrera training with the team, Arthur, and then hopefully eventually Bossi when he comes in. So you up the talent level. Well, hopefully you up the talent level from last year. So you're expecting more out of Sebas Ferreira, but how can you expect anything more from him when you're benching them? I don't understand why that decision was made. Like I said, like Kenny says, coach's decision. I mean, but okay, well, I mean, but you got to explain your decision when these are the things that I don't understand. That this is what pisses me off about the post game stuff like that. Coach's decision. Okay, well, what led you to that decision? Because we're 0-2. You're supposed to be the breath of fresh air into this club. You're the one who's supposed to bring the winning mentality. You're supposed to bring this. You're supposed to bring that. And yet we're still going the same path that we've been going. At least when Kenny Bundy came in the last couple of games last season, he said, you know what, I'm going to put the best players out there that deserve to be out there, and they're going to go do their thing. And they did their thing those 5 games. I'm not on the, hey, let's fire, we need to fire Ben Olsen out or whatever. I'm not doing that right now. It's 2 games.
It's too early. It's too early.
It's still early. But what I'm saying is, like, we need to hold the club accountable, not just as a fan base, but also as the people covering the club. Like, coach's decision, okay, cool, but but why? Why was that decision made? Was it something that he did? I mean, look, if it was something that he did where he needed to be reprimanded or whatever, then cool. I understand that. You need to hold your players accountable. If they break a rule, they break a rule. But what? Coach's decision, that doesn't make any sense to me. That makes me think that you look like a fool, that you don't know what you're doing, because you have a high-priced number 9 forward sitting on the bench that could be helping you score goals while you're down while you're down 3 goals to New England Revolution. And Mr. Cody says, Sebas is the last thing that we should worry about. Wingers are dead every game. And and that might be true. Look. I unfortunately I didn't have a chance to watch the game. I was thinking about replaying the game and watching it for myself, but I was just like, man, I don't want to. Why do I want to frustrate myself with this result, right? So I didn't get to watch the game per se. But Sean, and you probably can answer this question a lot better than I can. Obviously, how was the wing play? I don't know. Corey Bird, we had high praises. That, hey, this is going to be the year. Corey Bird looked like he was back in form the last couple of weeks last season, and Corey Bird was going to be the player of the year for the Dynamo this year. He's going to be the one that's going to help us, get over the hump and all this. And Corey Bird has been the Corey Bird from the last season for the most part. Ivan Franco, like I said, 2 games into his MLS career, you can only expect so much from him. And so, what are we doing? I haven't heard anything about Nelson Quiones. I haven't heard, obviously Basi's out. I haven't heard anything about, I know Achara has the documentation issues, and other things, but what are we doing? If we don't have that player, if we don't have those players around, then why are you sitting your best player on the bench?
Yeah, and I don't want to sit here and pretend that I wasn't hyped up for this season just a few weeks ago, because I was. No. I absolutely was, because there was a lot of hope to be had. New coach, New coach, I was not hyped about no matter what. And everybody knows this. Anybody who watched our shows, the couple that we had, knows I was not hyped about Ben Olsen as coach. Like, that wasn't what I had hyped about. I was hyped about some of the player acquisitions that were made. I was hyped about some of the changes that were proposed, things like that. But what I've seen so far on the pitch to start this season is exactly what we saw to start last season. It's exactly what we saw to start 3 seasons ago. The reality is, once again, this team is floating in the ocean of MLS with no direction. Our captain, and I'm saying captain to refer to our coach, not the actual person who's wearing the armband, our captain is directionless. It feels like he doesn't know what he wants to do with this team. A perfect example is this guy Ben Olsen is known for being a fairly adequate defensive coach. That second half last week sure as hell did not look like a team that understood how to play defense. Yeah. Dorsey was beat time and time again. The center backs were out of position constantly. We're a team that's scrambling to find anything to grasp at from any perspective, and we're missing at every opportunity. And
Yeah, I mean, like Lil Julio in the chat on Twitch says, "What do you think about our defense?" And I think you just mentioned that what in your last statement right now. I mean, the center backs are not playing together. Dorsey's looking horrible out there. Escobar, I mean, like I said, he still might be acclimating to the team, but I mean, but he should be one that should be ready to go. I mean, with all the experience that he has in MLS, but it's just one of those things again. Like we have Barlow, which I think he's gonna. I mean, I think he's gonna be a good one, but obviously it's gonna take him a little bit of time, right? Teenage, I just don't know what to do with Teenage, man. Teenage is just so he seems like he's a great guy, like real entertaining, very flamboyant, very out there. Brings life into the pitch and all that stuff, and all that great stuff. And he seems like a great personality, right? But I need that personality to translate to the pitch. I need his play to show on the pitch. I need him to shut down these teams' scoring threats. And I'm not seeing that. I mean, like I said, I don't want to overreact because it's 2 matches going in, but I mean, obviously we already had a whole year of Teenage from last year, and not to mention he's one of our DPs, which unfortunately in this league, when you're under a DP label, there's going to be that much more pressure on you to produce, especially for a club who hasn't had any positivity inside this club for almost a decade, if not, and it's an unfortunate thing because, I know a lot of these players can play and if given the opportunity and put in the right system, they might be able to showcase their skills and really and really show out on the pitch. But we haven't been able to do that. We haven't been able to find the right combinations, the right chemistry to make everything click. And as a fan base, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but I think for the majority of the fan base, it's getting tiresome, man. It's really getting tiresome, and it's one of those things where, like, I posed this question to you on our Discord, Sean, but like, it makes the opening match at home against Austin, regardless if it's Austin or whoever, it makes it a must-win game on the 3rd game of the season. Because just like I mentioned earlier, do we think the Dynamo have the capability to make up the points that they've already dropped? No. So I mean, this game is like they have to win. And then throw on top of that the fact that it's I don't want to call them a rival, but I mean it's an in-state opponent. And with their guys that come in and they're always talking a whole bunch of mess, but and we know that those guys are going to roll deep into here. I mean, if we don't come out of this match on the 18th with a W, dude, it's going to be rough.
Let me ask you a question, and this is purely based off what you're just talking about. So let's say we lose to Austin. Nobody wants to talk about it, but let's say it happens. Honestly, the probability is in favor of us losing to Austin. Let's say we lose to Austin at home. If we go and if we go and by mid-season, I'm going to use mid-season as our marker for this. If we've won, let's say, 4 matches by mid-season, doesn't matter how many losses or how many draws. If we've won 4 matches by mid-season, is that enough to potentially sway your opinion on Ben Olsen?
Ben Olsen has been fighting it since he got hired, like you mentioned. If he's only won 4 games out of his first 17 games as a Dynamo coach, dude, that's gonna be tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. Because, like I said, he was an underwhelming signing. You know, and I hate to say this, but it would be a different vibe or a different energy had it been a Tata Martino or had it been a Piojo Herrera. If you told me, hey, those guys that's gonna be your coach, but they're only gonna win 4 or 5 games out of the first 17, which is mid. I'd be like, okay, cool, but but at least we have somebody with some direction that knows how to win, and this has lifted titles, have coached some of the biggest clubs in the world. They have a pedigree. Ben Olsen doesn't have that, unfortunately. I mean, cool. Like I told you before the show, Ben Olsen was a cheap hire for DC United as a retired player who wanted to turn coach, and and they just decided to keep him there for X amount of years. He did okay. You know, I'm not knocking the man's accomplishments over there. He did okay. He lifted the U.S. Open Cup. He led them to the playoffs a couple times. Great, you know. But I mean, but his record doesn't speak anything to where I'm like, oh wow, you know, his pedigree is very minimal at best.
So
And and on top of that, his style, I don't see it. You talk about you want to be this tough, gritty a team with a lot of physicality. I don't see it.
yeah, so and yeah, Master Combine already kind of figured out where I was heading with this, but I'm going to follow up that question with if we get to midseason with only 4 wins, is it time to admit that Pat is not the right guy at general manager?
You know, it's funny. I want to use this analogy, and maybe I think most of y'all will get it. You know, because you know, obviously, it's going to be an analogy towards with the Astros with James Click, and you know, with letting him go. I don't, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the conversations are with Pat and Ted, right? I'm not sure how much leeway Ted is giving Pat as far as like what type of players he wants and things of that nature or whatever, right? But the thing is, like, if Ted is really saying, Pat, dude, go get the best players that you can out and bring them to Houston. Go do whatever you have to go do to bring these players in, whatever, you know. And let's say these are the best players that Pat can bring in because you know without even mentioning DPS, right? Because I mean, obviously, yes, they scored a huge W with bringing Hector Herrera in because of the whole media fiasco and the whole attention that it brought to the franchise for that little bit of time and all that good stuff, right? Okay, cool. But after that, what else? I mean, like, who else have you brought in? Like, yeah, Sebas, but now you've had 2 coaches back to back that you hired bench your supposedly best player on the team for no reason at all, you know. So I'm not. I mean, maybe the thing is like, man, you know, I want Pat to succeed because of what he meant to the club as a player. But I mean, but obviously I'm gonna have to forcefully separate the two. Pat is a player, amazing, legend. You know, is welcome to Houston anytime he wants to come. Pat the GM at this moment, D minus. D minus. And the only reason I'm not giving them an F is because, like I said, hey, look, they brought a world class player in Hector Herrera. You know, whatever. You know, they made it happen. So I mean, I got to give them a few roses for that. But I mean, but other than that, I mean, what else have they done? What other player that they've signed has made you jump out of your seat? You know, like I said, Sebas, but now you have 2 coaches benching them.
Yeah. I'm gonna expand upon that even further now. So, you know, the team struggles and we're hit mid-season. And, you know, you're releasing or sending Pat on his way. You're sending Ben Olsen on his way. I want y'all to think about this for just a minute. Did we just waste 2 years of Dynamo rebuild time? Did we just sink 2 years of a year and a half of Hector Herrera's tenure with the Dynamo because we didn't hire good coaches, because we didn't bring in the right GM? Look, for an owner, and I'm pointing at Ted on this one, for an owner that willingly shot away and pushed away 60%, if not more, of the front office staff in terms of marketing, ticketing, sales, operations, etc. Everything but the soccer business side. Everything but the soccer side. Pushed them all out. Not all of them, but the majority of them out because they were not meeting his expectations and he didn't feel they were doing enough. How can you as Ted sit there and I know this will happen in a press conference. You know, I'm more than happy with the work that Pat is doing. I feel like he's making progress and we've made progress and I'm really excited. That's horse poop, okay? Because the fact is, if you, as a business person, look at your business and your business is failing repeatedly year after year in the same ways, and he's done it with the business side, and you get rid of people on the business side, why are you not doing the same thing on the soccer side? What is it that makes him hold on to Pat? And look, I want to see Pat succeed. I believe Pat can succeed. I just don't know if Pat can succeed in this environment. And I get that. I get that, Kenny, that you don't know that because they have brought in various people. They changed coaches. They changed scouts. They changed trainers. Guess what? I don't give a rat's ass. They did all sorts of stuff on the business side. They got rid of top people at the highest level on the business side. President, vice president, chief revenue officer, media relations, public broadcasting, media, all sorts of crap on the media side, just left and right. People were gone left and right. They did all that. I don't. They did a bunch for the academy. They completely overhauled the academy, staff. Okay, cool. You've done all of that. But at the highest level, at the most important people making the most important decisions for your club from a technical perspective, you have not applied the proper pressure. Because if you had, the signings this offseason, in my opinion, should have been way different.
I look at the other signings and other transactions that happen around the league, right? And not just player based, like front office based, right? Like the guy from Seattle who went to Atlanta.
Yeah, Garth Lagerwey or Craig Weibel, Pat Noonan. Man, who else went? There's a couple others that went elsewhere too.
Yeah, but regardless, I've always been on the ship of like, hey, go get the guys who have already done it. Go to those clubs. Go pick out the people from those clubs. Seattle, with all the respect, has been the model franchise of the MLS since they've been in the league. This is facts. Look at all the trophies they've won. Look at all the tournaments they've won. Look at how they were represented. Why haven't we picked out anybody from Seattle's front office and brought them down here, regardless of what it's going to cost to bring them over here? Like, we can bring on all these players and whatever, but if we don't have captains of the ship to steer the ship and to lead the way, then what's the purpose of having a crew? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And like I said, with all due respect to Pat, because like I said, I respect Pat because of everything he's done as a Dynamo player. But with Columbus Crew, I mean, realistically, how much did he really have imprinted from his standpoint on that Columbus Crew team? That Columbus Crew team was already stacked when he got there. And I wanted to work, and I want to give them the time, for them to make it work. But it's tough, man. I mean, it's tough, and I don't want to sound so negative so early in the season. It's 2 games, right? And that's always gonna be there's two games. But when is it gonna be like, next week? I mean, when we come on the show a month from now, Sean, it'd be like, oh, come on, guys, it's only been 6 games. Chill, it's only been 6 games. Relax.
It's only been 16 games, guys. I know we're to the mid-season. It's only been half a season. You got to give them another half a season.
Yeah, but like it's one of those things. But like great. I feel like we're signing these players, and like yeah, the Houston Dynamo 2 look great. Dino Dos is awesome. But like let's okay, that's cool. But let's focus a little bit more on the first team. Like let's go make that big signing. Like let's go get a player with true talent, like with some real talent. Not a player like Hector Herrera, who's obviously, yeah, he's shown he can be a world class player, but he's on the backside of his prime years. Let's go get somebody who is on the cusp of going into his prime years, who we can use for a year or 2 or maybe 3, and then sell on and bring in the next batch of people. And like, I've always posed this question, man. When is it that the Dynamo are gonna have that player that European teams come knocking on the door and start and want to give us 15 to 20 million for? You know, where's our Miguel Almiron? Where's our Brenner? Where's our Thiago Almada? Where's our, like like I don't know, like, Efrain Alvarez, where's our version of that player? We don't have one, man. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's horrible to be talking this way so early in the season, because like I mentioned to you, especially from the shows from last season, man, we could have groomed our young players last season. We were sucking. We sucked early and we sucked the whole way through. We could have groomed our youngsters, and they could already been, being accounted for on the team for this season. But we didn't do that. We still try to fight to try to win meaningless games at the end of the year with players who we knew were not going to be here. What was the whole point of that, Sean? What was the whole point of it?
I've yet to figure that out. I mean, if I could figure that out, I'd be making more money than I'm making now. I want to pull it back to soccer for a second, and something you said about hiring, the right coach, hiring a guy that is proven, at a bigger level and is acclaimed at a bigger level. I think we throw out proven, and that doesn't mean anything if they're proven in certain places or certain leagues or with certain teams. But I think too, and because a lot of people, I think, especially in our chat, will recognize this as I talk about it, but there's a perfect example of how you can change the fortunes of a team or of a club, and it's not an MLS. Don't get me wrong, it's not an MLS, but look at what is happening over in England, not England, over in Wales with Wrexham. Rob and Ryan, thank you. Rob and Ryan, bought the team. They have invested millions of dollars into that infrastructure. They have, they're renovating, a portion of the stadium. They have done a lot of hard work, both on and off the pitch. But the one thing, and the one episode of that entire thing that still has me going, why have we not tried this? Is when Rob and Ryan were talking with the guy that they brought in, who had tons of experience to kind of be the guy to help take them to the next level, and isn't a coach. He's just kind of director of operations out there. And they brought him in and they were talking to him, and he said, yeah, coaching options. Here's our coaching option. It's Phil Parkinson, and that's it. That's the guy. Yeah, I'm talking about the bald dude. Thank you, Kenny. I can't remember his name, but they went out and they contacted him, and his response was, not really. No, I got, they talked to his agent. He's got other stuff going on. He's really committed to his current club. And Rob said, Rob took the time to find out, okay, is it okay if I call him and speak to him personally? Because I want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him about what we're doing and give him an opportunity to talk to me. And he did. And they showed it on the episode. He called him and he talked to him for like an hour and a half. They sat on the phone and talked about the club, talked about the state of affairs of things, etc., and what they're trying to do out there. And they bought that coach in, Phil Parkinson, who is renowned at the National League level over there in England and Wales in the UK. And they brought him in. They got him to they got him to buy in and to come to the team. And it was a massive achievement for that club at that time. Sure. And this is a guy that had already promoted a club to the League One. He promoted a club to League One. He had also, championship as well. Yeah, he understood what it was going to take, and they weren't shooting for what they thought they could get. They shot for what they knew they needed. They went and they were willing to reach for what they needed, even if other people, and themselves included, thought that it was going to be a tough sell, thought that it was going to be outside of something that they might be able to achieve. Because you know what? If you're not willing to take a chance and swing at the damn pitch, you will never hit a home run. And I said that last year. I said it the year before, and I'm going to say it again. If we're not willing to try to swing at pitches, and I'm not saying that we have to go out there and we have to try to sign a Kylian Mbappe or a Harry Kane or anything like that. But what I'm saying is there are players out there that absolutely can change the fortunes of this club. And I don't care. I don't care about how this club is perceived, how this city is perceived. Trust me, you throw enough money on that damn table, that player is coming and he's bringing a bunch of people with him.
Look, I love that you brought that example, because let's talk about another example from that analogy that you possess. Their two best players.
Yes, sir.
We're playing in the championship level, a league below the Premier League. Super Paul Mullins, who we know because of all the Wrexham
phenomenal player, by the way.
Phenomenal player.
Oh,
the forward Ollie Watkins, another one. Those two guys have no reason to drop 3 levels of football to go join a team like Wrexham.
Yep.
But why? Why? Obviously, one of them, because he's a Welsh player, close to home, whatever. But how do you find that out? Because you talk to players, you talk to agents. It
wasn't that he was a Welsh player. That helped reduce his price. But I guarantee you, they offered him more money than he was making.
But for sure. The financial thing is one of the things I'm about to come up on.
Gotcha.
But like I said, if you're not even willing to have a conversation with these players and find out what their motives are. I mean, like, this is why I respect, like, dude, anytime I hear Inter Miami and Messi on the same sentence, I have to give respect to those guys, because at the end of the day, regardless if they land him or not, dude, they're shooting for it. They're going for it, and regardless, like, look, man, Messi can go play anywhere. Messi can go play anywhere in the world. He can play for free, or he can demand a $40 million a year contract, And just the simple fact that he, in the back of his mind, Inter Miami is there, that's a win in and by itself, because they're shooting for the stars. Like, and like I said, and I'll reiterate what Sean said earlier. I'm not asking y'all to go get Harry Kane, Kylian Mbappe, but I'm asking you to bring players with true talent into the team. Players, we know where we've been struggling the last couple of years. We haven't had a double-digit goal scorer for almost, a whole decade until Sebas came in after, Mauro had that one great season. And you bring in Sebas and you still treat him like crap, and you bench him, and he's supposed to be your best player, your best offensive player. This is what I'm not understanding, And then how do you blame him for not getting any service when he doesn't have any players around him to give him service? We talked about the whole time, like, look, whether or not Albert Elise was going to come back to Dynamo or not, we got whatever. Remember how all our nuts got kind of tightened when we heard the LA Galaxy rumors of him going to LA Galaxy. That shit sucks, man, because we know that this player has talent. We know what he can do. We know exactly what he does, and this is his home. You know that he's going to come in here and he's going to be ready to go. Like, why are we not doing it? Why are we not finding any way possible to make this happen? Like, that's what I don't understand. I don't understand. We see all these cryptic messages from Mauro Manotas and stuff like that. Like, okay, cool. Like, what's going on with that? Like what's up with that? I mean, like, look, I'm for having as many talented number 9s as we can on this club. People will be like, well, why do we need Mauro? Because we have Sebas. Well, apparently the last 2 coaches have wanted to bench Sebas. So if I had Mauro going in front of him instead of Thor or whoever you want to throw in front of him, I would feel a little bit more comfortable about that decision. Because he's a talented player who's done well in this league. We're so caught up in, like, oh man, well, we can't get this player because we already have this player here. Dude, we should be able to get whatever player possible, because none of these players right now at this current moment deserve to be on the pitch as a Dynamo player, showing whatever they've showed on this pitch right now at this moment. And it's a shame that I'm saying this, because, like I said, it's just the frustration in me, because I like these guys. I want to root for them. They wear my city's colors. I want to root for them. I want to go out there. I want to go, You know, I want to be there March 18th in the stands, you know, rooting them on, watching them beat Austin's ass. I want to see all that, man. But like I can't see it, man. That vision to me is blurry, you know, and until I actually see it, I'm even if it does happen, I'm gonna be surprised because I can't see it at this moment.
Yeah, I like Kenny's comment. I think it comes down to DPs mostly. I think we have the worst group of 3 in the league.
Yes.
And
Yes.
make no mistake, these are Pat guys. These are guys that Pat has effectively brought in, and he has saddled himself to. You could say Coco was here before Pat got here. Okay, fine. But he's kept him around. He had a chance to skip signing him to signing him to a full transfer. You know, Sebas, he was technically already here, but he really wasn't. That was a guy that was targeted by the time Pat got here. You know, HH, I don't think there's any question that, you know, Ache was a Pat guy, you know, it was a guy that Pat worked on. So, you know, I think it's just, it's look, we're suffering because the guys that were brought in to take this franchise to the next level, and it's not just players and it's not just coaches, it's not just the GM, but it's all of it. The guys brought in to do the deed to get us, you know, to get us out of this rut, to get us over the hump. None of them have succeeded. None of them have been able to do it on their own, and they have not been able to figure out how to find a way to take it to the next level as a group. And to me, it just feels like we have a bunch of players that, you know, are supposed to be role players, right? Like in a basketball team, you got your role players around your single superstar in Ache. But Ache isn't really a center. He's not really a power forward. He damn sure isn't a small forward, and he's too tall to be a shooting guard or a point guard. He's kind of that middle guy that just, you know, he's a Trevor Ariza type of player. You know, sure, he has his moments. He can be flashy. He can do some things on the court. But he's never going to be that number one guy on the team. He talent level, sure, he's better than everybody else on the team. But that just shows you how piss poor this team's talent level is.
But like, you know, we can have the best number 8 in the world and the whole league, right? And Ache, but what good does that do to it for us? You know?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, what good does it do for us? Because, like I said, if he can't provide the passes, if he can't provide the connection, if he can't provide the chemistry, if he can't provide the tempo that's needed to push the club forward as far as offensively goes, because that's been the Achilles heel of the Dynamo. The goals. We can't score goals. We can't score goals. How do we expect to win if we can't score anything? You know, and that's the whole thing. Like, you know, like I don't like the defense is one thing, right? But if we're not even scoring goals to help alleviate the pressure from the defense, I can't blame it on defense. I mean, you know, like after a while, it gets like, damn, you know, like, come on, guys, score something. Put the ball in the back of the net. Create. You're creative players. This is what you get paid to do. Do it.
Yeah.
Have an imagination. You know, like it's kind of, and sometimes you just got to go back to basics and pretend that you're playing, you know, rec soccer in the back of the back of somebody's backyard. You know, like, dude, so just it's frustrating because I'm hoping that these 2 games were just, you know, hey, they're just getting accustomed to each other. This and that, they're going to be back home. They're going to be sleeping in their beds. And March 18th, we're going to see a whole different, complete team, you know, and we're just going to knock Austin out. Man, you know, that's what I'm hoping. But like, how much hope do I have to hold on to, you know, to actually believe that? You know, what's that saying? It's the hope that kills you, right? Shit, man, I'm going to be massacred by the end of this season. So I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough, and I mean, look, I'm a supporter, man. So I'm gonna be there through ups and downs, regardless, you know. And obviously, regardless if the team makes the decisions that I like and or not. And you know, I was on the same boat with Deshaun. I wasn't for the Ben Olsen signing, but they signed him. He's my coach. I'm gonna back him. Let's hope I'm wrong. I'm willing to eat that crow. As I'm sure you are as well. But up to this point, we're looking like geniuses, Sean.
I mean, I called it. I'll say that. I don't want to have called it, but I called it.
I don't want to have.
But I like Kenny's point yet again. Kenny, keep selling our show for us because you're making it easy on me. Says all of our hopes are on a TAM signing. Doesn't feel good. I mean, I think that sums it up. We're not talking about DP saving our season. We're not talking about a summer signing DP guy coming in and changing our fortunes mid-season. We're talking about relying on a guy to come in and be our savior as a TAM signing. And he was a young kid. I mean, realistically, all this talk about Ivan Franco and how great he's been, and that's fine. He's gritty. He's athletic. He's determined. Well, guess what? So was Memo. So was Memo. Memo put that time in. He put that work in. So was Seren. Look, that stuff only gets you so far. And from what I've seen so far, there are times that boy looks lost out there. That boy looks like he doesn't belong on an MLS club. And that's, I hope he can improve in that. But I say that to say, did we really change anything by going from Memo to Ivan Franco? I don't feel like we did. Did we really change anything on the outside going from Lundy to Tate Smith? Did we really change anything going from Dorsey/Zeka to Franco Escobar? I don't see it, man. I don't see, Artur, don't get me wrong, definite upgrade. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But, the proof is on the pitch,
But it goes back to, again, yes, but our best players are our best players in the wrong positions.
Yep.
Yep. Like, yes, we can have the greatest pairing as far as number 6 and number 8 on the pitch for MLS. But I mean, but how does that contribute to goals? How does that contribute to us winning the game? Artur can go out there and smash and be our goon and defend the ball well, but he's only one guy and he's gonna get tired. How much, like it's a shame. And it doesn't help either, and I hate to keep going back to this, is seeing Sebas on the bench. I just don't understand it, And I can't hear that coaching decision. Well, then Pat needs to be on the phone with Ben and be like, "Yo, what led you to this fucking decision?" Because, like, it was a terrible decision. Terrible decision. And like I said, I didn't watch the match. So I'm not, and I don't even, did Thor do anything, in that match? I mean, obviously not, because there's no goal scorer, but I mean, did he look okay? I mean, did he look like, okay, maybe he did better than what Sebas could? Sean? People on the chat who watched the match, let me know. Did Thor do something on there to show you that, hey, he deserved to be on that pitch ahead of Sebas? And if he didn't, then then why are we still messing around with that? He should be the first name on that sheet. He should be on there because he deserved it. He earned it last season. Through all the ups and downs that we were having last season, that man still came in here and scored 13, 14 goals for us with minimal help.
Yep.
And
agreed.
And he's one of those players that, if that can continue growing. He's at that age where, man, if he does really well, he can be sold on, and we can make some profit, and we can bring in some more batch of players, right? That's that. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get to that level here in the Dynamo. I mean, to be honest, I'm starting to question our development skills here for the club. I don't know. Our developing skills at the club have been non-existent. I haven't seen anybody come on to the Dynamo and gotten better.
Just now, Kenny says. I agree, Kenny. I agree with you.
No,
it's been an issue for a while. Yeah, I got this thought in my mind, and I need to get it out. So I look at the squad, I look at the club, I look at the state of things, and there's one thing that I see, which is that we brought in these defensive pieces to try to help the defense. We swapped up and upgraded to Artur to shore up the defense, and what I'm seeing is a lot of old school mentality from Pat in terms of defense first, and then signing a bunch of middling players, cheap players in the attack to try to bolster the attack. But it was a fair comment, Kenny. You definitely deserved it. It was good, or you deserved to say it. It was good. But we brought in a lot of defensive talent and with very little to show for it. I mean, had Davey on the back line again. I can't saddle him to Pat, but keeping him around is definitely a Pat decision, and it definitely is not working out any better than having Ethan Bartlow on that back line. Daniel Steres, hell, start those two guys and save yourself $1.5 million and send Hadebe somewhere else. I don't care where you send him. Send him down to the youth rec league for all I care. Just not on my pitch, not in my Dynamo. It's like that, and that's a lot of money to sink into a center back and an international slot to sink into a center back that you could be spending in the attack. That's money you could have spent on a true attacking midfielder. That's money you could have spent on a true second number 9. That's money you could have spent on a true winger to replace Bird or to replace Ivan Franco. Because again, neither of these guys are good enough, man. And our hopes rely on these guys creating chances because you're playing a 4-3-3, and Coco is not going to be in a position consistently to feed the ball up to our number 9. He's not going to be in a position, and HH isn't going to be there. He wants to be middle of the pitch, playing defense, playing quarterback.
Yeah, man, and it's a shame because I don't know, Steve Stanford says, dude preach stairs clear of teenage. And look, man, I'm not saying Stairs can't do a job for us, but now you're relying on 30-something-year-old center back that that was supposed to be going in was supposed to be our number 4, realistically, And now you're asking him to be the anchor of our back line. So that right there shows me what's going on? Was this not shown during the preseason? Did we not evaluate these guys properly to see who really deserved the spot that they deserve on the team?
No, remember last season in the it was towards the end of last season that Pat said, "Oh no, we're happy with the defense. We're happy with our defenders. We think we're in a great position going into next season with defensively."
Yeah, and then Booth, Parker out.
And let's be honest, Parker wasn't saving this defense either.
No, he wasn't. But doesn't it suck to see him go to St. Louis, and granted, it's only been 2 games, score a goal and leading and helping that back line, win 2 games in a row. That's what I'm talking about. We bring in players and they get worse, and the players that we let go somehow magically get better.
Except Memo hadn't improved at all.
And it's one of those things where it just gets frustrating because now we're looking at it from a developmental state because okay, well now what's going on with the training? What's going on with the coaching staff? And look at our last few coaching staffs and trainers and strength and conditioning coaches. The one currently we have, like we said, he's mediocre at best. The 2 prior to him were first-time head coaches in Tab and Paulo Nagamura, And then the one prior to that, Wilmer, he was just dude, I miss Wilmer. I'm not gonna lie. He was a dictator,
Wilmer's still available. You think RGV are paying him more money than we could?
The developing of players has not been our strongest forte, and if anything, it's been our weakest. And that's why we see these players leave the Dynamo and go on to bigger and better things. Sometimes, it's crazy. I remember, I forgot where it was. I forgot what player it was. I want to say it was Kyoto, who kind of lashed out at the fan base because they were giving him something about something or whatever, and they said, "Look, guy, we won this Open Cup You know, and when y'all get rid of us, y'all ain't winning nothing else. And he's been right. You know, like we haven't done anything, not close to anything without those guys. You know, and those guys are out there dominant. Kyoto, you know, top five scorer last year in MLS. Albert Elise killing it in Portugal, killing it in France. Mauro Manotas was okay in Mexico until he got his injury. Yeah, like you see all these guys that were on the U.S. Open Cup team that left us and they went on to bigger and better things, and it's like we've gone sorrier. We've gone sorrier. Like every time we think we can't go any lower, MLS has another team and we drop down another place. You know.
I didn't know I could limbo this low. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Like, you know, 2 years ago, we were 12th place in the Western Conference. Last year, we're 13th. Right now, we're 14th. Next year, when the 30th team comes in, whoever that is, we'll be 15th. You know, it's a sad thing to be a part of. But,
so let's
like
talk positives. Let's talk positives. We've talked a hell of a lot of negatives. Let's talk positives real quick. I'm gonna use Kenny's statement here because it's about the only positive thing I could find in the season so far. Here's the thing about the first two games. We have a 44% save percentage. Terrible, but St. Louis has a 40% save percentage and 2 wins to go with it. Things can be weird in the first two games. That and lack of Bazzi so far are the last threads of hope I have for this year. I mean, you're spot on. Look, I've been on the Bazzi bandwagon the whole time. I've said Bazzi is the guy that is going to take this team, you know, going to be that guy. He's going to be legit. Now, I've said that. I got to see him play. I don't know what is going on there. I keep hearing injury, but I think it's probably like a hammy or a quad. But, you know, it's we're at that point of the season, two matches in, going into the third match, you know, and to your point earlier, we're at that point of the season already where it's a must win. I didn't think we'd be at that point 3 matches into the season. And it has nothing to do with the fact, look, yes, we have 2 losses, but it isn't that we have 2 losses to start the season. If we came out and we had lost 1-0 or even 2-1 against, who did we play last week? My mind is blanking. Who did we play? New England. Against New England. Okay, yeah, that's a different story. To lose 3-0 though? No.
But this goes back to what Kenny said earlier in the chat and what you repeated. You know, our DPs, our best players, aren't doing their job. Yep. Look at St. Louis. Yes, that stat is correct and spot on, and obviously it's a small sample size, so that's why, you know, they got 2 wins and we have 2 losses. But look what their best players have done. The players they invested the most money in. Their DP number 9, 2 goals in 2 games. Their DP playmaker number 10, 2 assists in 2 games. Their highest spending as far as within the league, and Tim Parker, goal, and is holding down the defense. I mean, so like, yeah, it's a small sample size, but the players that they invested money in are stepping up. They're doing what they're getting paid to do.
Is this a Houston issue? Is it the fact that we have such good food that our players just you know, they get comfortable and complacent here because they're like, oh man, I can go get me the El Salvadoran pupusas anytime I want.
Man, I have no idea, Sean. I mean, like, I have no idea, man. Like, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know what has to happen to right this ship.
G-Money love that comment.
Like realistically, Sean, like
I know.
Like, dude,
I know.
Like this is the only thing I can relate this to is, I don't know how much of a baseball fan you are, Sean, but like, remember when the Tampa Bay Rays were like the laughing stock of the whole league, you know, whatever, for like since forever, and then all of a sudden they got prospects and they got better and they went on that World Series run under Joe Madden, you know, in 2007 or 2008, if I remember correctly, and then ever since then Tampa Bay has been, you know, one of the best teams in the league, right? And I'm thinking, dude, are we in the middle of this like long 10 to 15 year just like dreading this, and then there's like a light at the end of the tunnel, but we're just not even close to the end of that tunnel yet. to where we can see the light. We just got to keep going and have faith and just keep walking in this darkness, because that's all we can do.
Look, if we're in the middle of a rebuild and
Can we just call it?
can we
just
call it a
what is?
yeah, exactly. Can we call it a rebuild? Can we admit that, look, you know, we're in a shit place. We've got terrible players. We've got no talent. Our DPs are not what we thought they were going to be, and just be okay. Like, I genuinely think that there's a good portion of this fan base that would willingly accept to hear that. Like, they would be happy to hear that, almost, in a way, because at least it would be finally real truth coming from the front office and from people with power, you know, saying, hey, we're not happy about this either, and the only thing we can do is this is what our plan is to fix it. Instead, you know, we know that Pat's got PowerPoints that he's showed everybody else, but he hadn't showed us anything. He's told us a bunch of stuff. He said a lot of lines, you know, and they're transparent when they sign a guy about, you know, why they made that signing and why it was a great signing from a business perspective. But every one of those signings that they've touted as being key signings for the team from a business perspective, or why it makes sense from a business perspective, and why it has helped them from a business perspective, has done diddly poop for them on a soccer perspective.
You know, and it's funny because, yes, obviously we've seen all the investments done on the stadium and the amenities and all that great stuff. And like, look, I'm not happy that Ted did that. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the new stadium. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing all the great amenities and all that stuff. You know, that's great. You know, but obviously, like everybody else on here would agree, I would rather have a good to decent team on the field first before they went on and decided to put in mesh chairs or put in new restaurants, whatever. That stuff is cool, but I'm a fan of football. I can go get me a burger wherever I want to go get me a burger when I get out of the stadium, you know? I can go get tacos wherever I want to go get tacos if I want to go get tacos. I can go get elote or corn, you know, wherever I want to go get it. You know, but when I go to watch the Dynamo, I want to go watch the Dynamo. I want to go watch something good. And we haven't been getting that. And let's just go back to like the investments, man, like realistically, from a pitch standpoint. What investment? You know, like realistically, like, you know, you didn't spend anything to bring in Franco, realistically. You didn't spend anything really realistically to bring in Bassi. What was his transfer fee? So realistically, what was it?
It was below. It was small enough that they were able to bring him in on a TAM.
Yeah, but you didn't spend anything to bring in Hector. Yeah, you're paying him $5 million because I mean you got to pay somebody. But I mean, but he was a free transfer. You know, Sebas, Sebas is the only legit signing they have that they've made an investment in, and yet they treat him like he's a second-rate player, and they have coaches that bench him. I think the theme of this show is, why the hell are they benching Sebas? What's going on with Sebas? That's the theme of this show. For me, from my standpoint,
I think you've got it wrong. The theme of this show is we don't talk about Sebas.
Yeah, we don't talk about Sebas, right? You know, but like, you know, you want to fix the back line. You know, you want to fix the back line. You know, like, okay, cool, but like, you hear the investments that Atlanta United make. You hear the investments that Seattle Sounders make. You hear the investments that LAFC make.
Hell, the investments that Sporting KC have made.
Sporting KC, man, dude, the fact that Sporting KC came like real close to signing Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't want to say real close, but dude, that they were even in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like, big ups to SKC and those guys. Like, what the hell's going on, dude? Who do we get linked with? A Mexican player because he's Mexican. Dude, I don't give a shit what nationality he is. Can he play? Can he play and can he produce? Can he score goals? Can he assist the ball to make goals? Like, that's what I care about. That's what I care about. You know? That's all I care about. I don't care about his nationality. I don't care about, like, you know, what leagues he's played in or what clubs he's played in. Can he play? Can he produce? That's all that matters. That's all that matters in any sport, any club, anything when it comes to sports. Can the person produce? The player can be the last player chosen on the team. If he produces, he's going to be on there playing. I don't care if he came from my academy, if he came from La Liga, if he came from South America, if he came from the backyard of whatever, side of town in Houston you found him in. Doesn't matter. We just want ballers. Thank you, JFC.
Oh man. It's I think I saw earlier, if we're in this position, still bottom of the table by the mid-season, then yeah, it's time for a rebuild. Look, I get that, and I think that's a fair assessment, but I'm also at the point, and I think it's just because I've been in this position now for so many seasons in a row. We've had these conversations, Mark, ad infinitum for the last 3 seasons in a row. If you don't believe me, go check our archives on Anchor.fm. I guarantee you're going to realize just how much we've talked about the same stuff. But if I'm talking about this team having a lack of identity, and we're in May or June or July or August, if we make it to August and I'm still talking about a lack of identity, then Ben needs to go, Pat needs to go, Asher needs to go. Everybody on the soccer operations side from top to bottom needs to go. And we're going to be we're going to put ourselves back another 3 to 5 seasons, because yes, you theoretically can rebuild in one season. You can do what Cincinnati did, but it still is going to, I say one season, realistically it takes 2, because you have to have a start, a base to build from. And the only base that we have to build from right now is Sebas. That's it. That's the only player on this team that is worth building so far that we've seen on the pitch. So far that we've seen on the bench. So
on the bench.
Yeah. Oh, for a match. Yes. I hear you. I don't know what happened. I think there probably is something to that in terms of you've had 2 coaches that benched him.
Sean. I need an explanation.
No, I hear you.
Look. This fan base deserves that. Forget this crap about PR talk or whatever. No, you don't deserve. This club does not deserve that leeway.
Look, I mean, realistically, I'm gonna be honest with you. If the man made a mistake and he screwed up, he got to man up and he got to call it out himself. He got to call it out himself. But here's the second. Hold on. Here's the second part to that. If it's been 2 seasons in a row, look, that's not a good look for your organization. If it's the same thing that sat him out last season for a few matches, then it's time. You got to call it. And look, he's the best player on the not on the field. He's the best player, second best player on this team, because I still think Ache is actually a better player talent-wise. But, I don't want players on my squad, on my team, that are going to be playing like that. That are going to be causing us these kinds of issues this early in the season. And I don't know what it is, because they haven't talked about it. To your point, they haven't talked about it. If they talked about it, maybe we'd be able to dissect it a little bit more. But either way, the fact that you've had to bench him 2 seasons in a row, it's time to move on. It's time to find somebody else. And I'm not saying you just, you just get rid of him for nothing. But trust me, there are teams in MLS that would spend absolutely wildly to give you money to take Sebas off your hands.
Look, I would respect Ben Olsen more if he would have just came out and said, you know what? I had a hunch. I felt like that Thor showed me something during practice, so I wanted to give him that opportunity. I would have respected that. He came out and said, you know what? As a coach, I have to look at my players during practice sessions and see what they're looking like. And and Thor had an amazing practice session this past week, so I wanted to give him an opportunity to improve on that. So I gave him the starting nod. If I would have heard that, I would have been like, well, okay, cool.
You gave me reason to believe.
Coach is gonna coach. He's trying to put the best players available on the pitch. All respect. I can respect that. But when coach's decision is that's it, okay. Dude, I hate that there is no, why wasn't there a backup? Like why? Like what's up with that? JSP says, with 20 goal season for the Dynamo, I think Sebas has the capability of scoring 20 goals. we've yet to have a 20 goal scorer for this franchise, right? Like that's crazy. The way MLS is going, the way MLS has invested in offensive players, the fact that this club still hasn't had a 20 goal scorer for a season it's shocking to me. You know, like you have Cincinnati who just came in 4 years ago, who are about to have a pair of 20 goal scorers on their team. You know, like a pair. And we can't get one dude, and the one dude who seems capable to do it, we bench him. We keep benching him. So I don't know. I'm done. I'm done with the whole. Like I said, I know we're getting close to the end of the show. I know we got probably like another 10, 15 minutes, and I don't want to keep beating the bush, beating up the whole Sebas on the bench thing. But it's just.
I mean, bro, that's been the whole show. That's all you talked about this. I'm just kidding.
But it's because it's so frustrating to me, Sean.
I know.
It's so frustrating to me.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's so frustrating to me, especially with everybody praising it and everybody, and not just us, nationally. The little bit of attention that the national media has given us, all have said, dude, Sebas has it.
Yeah.
If the Dynamo can put a little bit of talent around him, Sebas could easily be scoring 20 goals a year for this club. And if you have a 20 goal scorer in on your team, at least your team is scoring goals, which means what? If you're scoring goals, you might be winning games, or you might be tying games. You might be collecting points. You won't be sitting on the dweller. Like the simple fact that our only goal has been scored by a guy who barely made the team like on the last 2 days of the preseason, that's crazy to me. That's
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to, we don't have an identity. We don't have any sort of direction. It feels like that, that Ben has come in here to try to figure some stuff out, but it also feels like he's been handed a club and not a club, but handed a roster that is significantly even worse than the DC roster he had, that only won 16 games or something like that across a 30 some odd game season a few years ago. I mean, I look at this roster and there is talent. There is decent talent, but the problem is that, and it feels like it's a Houston thing right now, soccer side, on the men's side. It feels like when these players get here, they just don't have the drive or determination to become the best player anymore.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, but what I feel is that we don't have the leadership in place to help these players acclimate themselves and be able to express themselves.
But that was supposed to be Ache.
No, yeah, but look, man, this is the thing, and I said this last year when Ache first came in, right? I hope people don't expect Ache to be the savior, because he's not the savior. He's a part of the solution, yes. But the thing is, he has never been the goal scorer. He's never been the top assist man. That is not his MO, And for all these fans that follow Hector Herrera or know of Hector Herrera, because they watched him play for Atletico or Mexican national team or whatever, they should have known this coming in, And now people want to harp on the fact that, oh yeah, but you're paying this guy $5 million a year. Yeah, you have to pay somebody, And
you're gonna have, if and I'm gonna add to that, it just to validate your point even further. You're gonna have to overpay if you want to get anybody who has any sort of name in the global soccer world, because you keep saying, not you, but the general consensus is nobody wants to come to Houston to play soccer. Well, then yeah, you're gonna have to overpay. So that's where the $5 million comes in.
Look, that Atletico Madrid team had multiple players that they're about to be free on contract. Look, let's talk about Luis Suarez, somebody who was a big, huge name, even bigger name than Ache. Dude, why didn't we go after that guy? We could have had a two-man front of Suarez and Sebas. I'd rather be paying two number 9s up front, X amount of dollars, X amount of millions of dollars, than have the best number 8 in the league and not doing anything, right? I bet you Suarez, if he would have came in instead of Ache, scored goals, could have led the way. a player who's been there, done that to a greater extent, and has done more than what Hector has achieved in his career. And so what? Maybe he asked for $8 million a year, $9 million a year, but you know what? He deserves that. Give it to him. If bringing in Luis Suarez for $9 million a year sounds stupid to whoever, whatever. But if that player changes the culture of your team and he's scoring goals and you're winning games now, then guess what? You're not stupid because you paid him. You decided to give him that money. Now he's doing that for your team.
And he's also one of those players that he's gonna draw fouls from defenders, and in MLS that's a pretty commonplace thing. So, and it would make sense.
But still, he affects the game. He affects the game directly, Sean, as a forward, as somebody who create and could hold the
No,
ball
I
up.
agree. Oh no, I agree. I wasn't like that was a positive
Yeah.
for me that he can draw fouls because that helps your possession percentages. That helps you kill clock. That helps you manage and
Exactly,
set up set
exactly.
piece opportunities and get guys a few seconds of breather. Evil says,
Exactly.
I know it's bad so far, but I still believe they can get to 9th place even with the new playoff system with 9 clubs each conference. Here's the problem, Evil, and I think they still could theoretically, but even if they get to 9th place, is that successful? Is that a good season?
Well,
Is
compared
that
to
the
the last couple
bar?
seasons.
Is that the? But we've been 9th place, right? Like 9th place is not the bar anymore. That needs to not be the goal of the damn team. Like
9th place now makes playoffs. So look, this is the thing. MLS has made it easier for us to make the playoffs,
and we still
yet
can't do it.
We still can't do it. So, and from that terms, you have to look at it as a successful season if we make it to 9th place somehow.
And Kenny does say for what it's worth, the Dynamo haven't finished 9th since 2018.
Exactly. So I mean, that would be a massive improvement. But like I said, I mean, look, I don't care. I don't care if you're really about turning the whole culture over for this club. Like, you have to go get players who are determined, who can do it, who are willing to do it. Like, and whatever they cost, that's what they're going to cost. And yes, you're probably going to pay a little bit of a premium because the Dynamo are not a destination, because the Dynamo haven't done jack squat for the last half decade. So they have the right to ask for a little bit extra. Look, and again, I'm just throwing Luis Suarez's name out there, right? If Luis Suarez was approached by LAFC and the Dynamo, and LAFC was giving them only $6 million a year, but obviously he was going to be playoffs, championships, and all that, and the Dynamo were giving him the same $6 million, where do you think he's going to go? LAFC. Not 100 times out of 100 times, right? But look, money talks, bullshit walks. If I offer him $8-9 million, hey, now I might have swayed his direction, but I'm still gonna get that badass player. And if he ends up scoring the goals that I know he's gonna score, because I know what kind of player he is, because I've seen what kind of player he is, I'm not going based off putting up a highlight reel of X amount of number of goals that a player has scored. Look, all these highlight reels of all these players that come in looks great, but Suarez is a highlight career. Not a highlight reel, it's a highlight career. We need players like that to come change this, because the Dynamo is just drowning further down. Like, I didn't know we can go any further down, but the MLS added another team, so it was made possible for us to go down more notch.
Yeah,
that's it for me. That's it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll be talking for another 10 minutes after this. No, the reason I call out the 9th place thing, and Jay says, yeah, but if we make the playoffs, maybe it will kick the team into a driving, wanting, thriving team, whatever it takes to get this team wanting to win, wanting to really put their everything. That's the problem, though, right? Like that right there is the mentality that has this team in the doldrums that it's in. Yeah, well, we'll accept the really crappy team hitting that lowest possible bar they could hit to be air quote successful, because at least maybe then they'll start playing better. If that's what it takes for this team to play better, for these players to play better, they shouldn't be on this damn team. They shouldn't be in MLS. Like, realistically, this team should be way better than it is. This club had resources to be way better than it is. This team had opportunities to make decisions to be better than they are. And Yes, sir.
No, so obviously I know we're gonna have a show next Thursday. I think, right, for the most part, that's the plan before
That's the
the
plan.
FC game. So I mean, like I'm looking ahead of the schedule, right? Just because I'm trying to peek over a little bit, trying to see if there's, because obviously I'm hoping, because it's the first game of the season at your stadium. I'm hoping that the crowd is going to be large. It's going to be booming. It's going to be great atmosphere, things like that. Hopefully, it's a beautiful day. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend, so people will be lit.
How you gonna make it to the stadium on St. Patty's Day weekend? I know your ass got tons of work.
We'll see. We're gonna make it happen. But like I said, and the worst case scenario that the Dynamo do not beat Austin this opening game with all the hype and all the crowd energy and all the whatever momentum going into this game that they should be having because they're home for the first time in this season. I'm looking at the next couple of games and man, I don't know when they're gonna win after that. I like after Austin, it's New York City FC, which they had a massive overchange, but I mean they still have great players. They've been contenders in the Eastern Conference the last couple of years. San Jose has looked better, a lot better than what the old San Jose was. LA Galaxy, we've only seen them play one game. So
Good news, it'll be our chance to reunite with Memo for a match.
Yeah, and that's the game Memo's going to score the hat trick, and I called this already. Memo's going to be a hat trick. He's going to hat trick the Dynamo, and we're just going to be like, fuck.
Mm.
New York Red Bulls, which New York Red Bulls is always up there in the Eastern Conference. Enter Miami, they got players, they got them better. LAFC, and that's the end of April. May, Real Salt Lake playoff team, Seattle Sounders.
The first place in the Western Conference right now.
Yeah, this is. I'm going into May now. Minnesota, who depending, they got some players, and then we see Frisco mid-May. Man,
it doesn't get any easier. Look, every team is above you right now in MLS. That's the reality. Every team you face is better than you right now. That is the reality. That is the truth. That is the fact. You've proven that you are the bottom team in the league. You've lost your first 2 matches. You have one of the worst goal differentials through 2 matches of the entire league. So with that said, like, it is that technically there's only one way to go, and that's up. But the reality is, no, you could stay exactly where you are and not win a match until like you said, June, July. I wasn't kidding when I said mid-season, 4 wins by mid-season. Like, okay, so G-Money, let's talk about that. But winning, even though we're really bumping up against time, but that's okay. But winning versus Austin would boost morale overall so much. In the fan base, is it really going to make a difference to the players? Most of these players don't give a rat's ass about Austin. They don't know about that rivalry.
There's no, I mean, I understand where Jeff's coming from. Like, as far as obviously if they beat Austin, it's beating an in-state rival, and obviously the first winning of the season, the first game at Shell Energy Stadium, and all this stuff. So I mean, it's something to look forward to, right? And like I said, I'm right there hoping with you that they do that. But we also got to remember, look, Austin, they just came off a successful season in second place in the Western Conference finalists against LAFC, right? So we can't knock them. I mean, for as much as we want to say that, about this and that, look, they had a shitty first season. They turned it around their second season in existence. So they proved that it can be done. There can be a drastic change over a 1 season period. But us as the Dynamo have not been able to find that solution. We haven't been able to find those ingredients to throw in our pot to make that happen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, obviously Austin has a couple more games here before they come to us, and we'll see what happens. It was a Haitian team, not a Dominican team. Yeah, but still, I mean, regardless, look, they're playing in CCL, and we're over here playing with our fingers at home. So I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, they might have lost to whatever team, but I mean, they're out there playing.
And I don't want to scare anybody with this thought, but teams that traditionally come off the bye week do not have a great match that following week. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, do we need to? I mean, we were sluggish coming off of New England. Now that we have 2 weeks off, are we going to be sharper? I don't know. I guess it was something that we'll have to see. But I just hope, and this is gonna be my last saying, I just hope Sebas isn't on the bench for this game.
If Seb, okay, I'm gonna ask this question. This is the last question I'm gonna ask you. You're not done. If Sebas is on the bench to start the match, what is Mark doing?
If Sebas is on the bench, he better have killed somebody or something else. Or, he must. He might. The only way I'm letting him, he better have committed some kind of crime. If Sebas is on the bench for that opening match. If he's not on the bench, dude, bro, I might literally walk out. I might go grab me a Trill burger and walk my ass out. Real talk. If Sebas is on the bench on the 18th to start the match, I'm gonna say, hey Sean, what's going on? I'm gonna say hi to everybody. I'm gonna see everybody out there, whatever is that. I'm gonna go grab me a Trill burger and walk out.
Yeah, we will. We will find out what the starting lineup is quite a while from now. We have a whole week to ruminate on the fact that our team is currently last place in MLS, one of the worst goal differentials in MLS. Isn't even starting one of their three DPs. Has one of their DPs who can't even really truly defend, is wild as all heck, and their third DP, well, he might as well not even be on the team. The position and everything else is just not right for him, and the situation doesn't feel like it's right for him either. But with that said, hey guys, thanks for joining us. We always appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks again for the subs and for the follows. We appreciate you guys so much. We look forward to seeing you guys next week on Thursday, barring anything changing. And then, of course, we've got the home opener coming up on the 18th. Hope to see some of you guys there. I know Kenny will be there. Probably a lot of you will be there. But, guys, as always, remember, hold it down.